Hello, welcome back to the fabulous ELD channel of the Virtual Academy. Nice to see your faces. So glad you've joined us. Today, let's first review our how we do things here. Every time I put down my pen, you are going to press pause, or the teacher or whoever's leading this, it might just be you at your house, which is fine. You are going to press pause and you're going to do whatever I tell you to do, be it draw, be it write, be it speak, be it raise your hand, whatever it is. And then I'm going to lift up my pen. When I lift up my pen, we unpause and we keep going because we know everyone works at different speeds. So today we're going to talk about narratives. I do want you to write this. Narratives, this is a review. Who can remind me what is a narrative? Raise your hand. Excellent, excellent. It is a fiction or nonfiction story. A fiction or nonfiction story. Go ahead, copy that. So it could be a fiction or a nonfiction story. So once again, fiction means fake or false. Nonfiction means real. Now, sometimes you guys may have seen a movie or read a book that said based on a true story. That doesn't mean it's 100% true. Oftentimes we'll see bits of fiction mixed in with the nonfiction. So basically in a narrative, different things are allowed. So for example, what I want you to raise your hand and tell me if I were to read a book about how McDonald's first started, would that be fiction or nonfiction? Right, that'd be nonfiction. That'd be a true story, right? What if I would read a book about how I met my alien best friend on the planet Saturn? Would that be fiction or nonfiction? That would be fiction. That would be a fake story, right? So how about let me see here I have Escape North, the story of Harriet Tubman. Fiction or not fiction? That'd be nonfiction. Sometimes it's tricky because there's drawings, not pictures, but you could have a true story with drawings instead of actual photos. What about the story of the Ohlone people in California? Would it be fiction or nonfiction? Nonfiction, nonfiction. How about Harriet the Spy? A story about a little girl who liked to spy and her her adventures. Fiction or nonfiction? Fiction. This is a fake story. And the last one, which I read with my student Daisy this year, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Fiction or nonfiction? Fiction. It's fake. It's not a real story. Perfect, perfect. All right. So today we are going to write a prompt. A I mean, you're going to answer. I'm not going to write a prompt. You're going to answer a prompt. Let's go ahead and write the word prompts. Prompts can mean many things. It could mean meeting on. It could be being on time. That means your prompts. It could be I'm trying to get you to say something. So I'm prompting you. But in this case, I'm talking about a writing prompt, right? So what is a prompt? It's an activity, a writing prompt, an activity, which is writing in this case, and drawing, okay, and speaking that directs individuals. Yes, I do want you to write this, and I will be pausing to give you time. That directs individuals to write about a given topic. That means I give you the topic, I tell you what to write about. That means you don't pick what to write about, I tell you what to write about. A given topic in a certain way. So I might tell you fiction narrative, nonfiction narrative. I do want you to write this. I do know it's a little bit long, but that's okay. This is an important word. Perfect. Let's go ahead and read this, shall we? Let's read what we have. When I start reading, you read with me. When I say go, we're going to read this together, together. And so unmute yourselves if you're on Zoom because I want to hear everybody. And go. Narrative, a fiction or nonfiction story. Prompt, an activity that directs individuals to write about a given topic in a certain way. Let's read it together again. Go. Narrative, a fiction or nonfiction story. Prompt, an activity that directs individuals to write about a given topic in a certain way. So most narratives have a beginning, a middle, and an end. A beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you see that, you're going to find a lot of order words. Order words. Let's go ahead and write order words. Okay. Now, when you were younger, you may have learned the very basic order words: first, next, last, finally, after, right? But you guys are now a little bit older. I think we should get some harder order words. I don't know what you think, but I think that that would be a good idea. So I'm going to ask you to pick, I think six. Let's have you pick six. One, two, three, four, five, six. Go ahead, copy. Now I'm going to give you a big list. I don't want you to faint. Don't go weary. Don't grow weary. I'm going to have you pick six words out of this long list, but I'm going to read them all first so you know how they should be said. And then pick six of your favorite. And I'm going to have you to pick, I'm going to ask you to pick some from every category. Okay. So I'm going to show you this list. I don't want you to stress out because I do not want you to write this whole list. I want you to pick six that you like and that you understand their meaning clearly. Okay. So instead of the word before, and by the way, I got this online. You could just Google order words for your grade level and you'll find some. Okay, before. Instead of saying before, what can we say? Earlier, formerly, in the past, not long ago, once, preceding, previously, prior to, up until that time, yesterday. Okay. Instead of saying first, we're doing nothing, you're just watching. Okay. At first, at the beginning, at the onset, before, commence, embark, from this point, in the first place, starting with, to begin. Instead of saying next, you could say after a few days, after a while, after that, as soon as, consequently, like a consequence of something happened, right? Following, henceforth, in time, in turn, later, not long after, presently, right after, second or third, shortly, since, soon, soon after, then, tomorrow, when, momentarily. These are separate. I just didn't have a lot of space. And instead of last, you could say after a long time, afterwards, finally, thereafter, hereafter, to conclude, at last, in conclusion, to finish, at the end, in the end, ultimately, eventually, last of all, until, final, later on. And instead of saying sometimes, you could say at times, gradually, periodically, seldom, from time to time, occasionally, rarely, some of the time. So here you have one, two, three, four, five categories. I want you to pick at least six words. You could pick more than that. I want you to have at least one word from each category. And then two, maybe from next, you could pick two from here. So pick, go ahead. Let me actually see if I can make this a little bit bigger, or it's hard to get the whole thing up here. Let's see, let's see. Okay. So go ahead and pick six of these words. Okay. I hope you pick six of these words. at least one from each category, but some from other category, and but extra from maybe next. And you could do more than six because it might help you when we do our activity. Okay, it might help you when we do our activity. So we're going to go ahead. You're going to take your 6 words. I'm going to go ahead and pick some really quickly. So instead of first, I'm going to say in the first place, that's going to be mine. In the first place. And then my number 2 is going to be since, and I could always change this as I write. Then I'm going to write momentarily, momentarily. And then I'm going to choose prior to, these are my choices. You don't need to copy my choices. You could write whichever word sticks out to you. Instead of last, I'm going to put eventually, because we want to sound a little sophisticated, right? We don't want to write like a first or second grader. We want to use vocabulary that is worthy of the grade that we're in, right? And then instead of sometimes, I'm going to put from time to time. From time to time. Okay, these are my 6 words. You can have whatever 6 words you want. And when you're done, next time I see you, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw our story. And I'm going to tell you what the narrative prompt is going to be next time I see you. So go ahead and upload this onto Google Classroom or however your teacher wants it uploaded, and or hand it in if you're in a physical classroom. And we'll see you next time. Bye.